Good morning. It is Friday morning, which means it is time to rise and grind. Oh my goodness, what a beautiful week. Summer is actually rolling in. The leaves are coming out. I'm biking again, looking for somebody to play tennis with. So if you live in Calgary and you'd like to smash the ball around, that would be awesome. And with summertime comes the barbecues and the parties and the drinks and, all this good stuff. So today we are going to talk about sugar addictions. That is going to be very interesting. So first, let's bring my co-host on board, the wonderful Nancy Seeger.
Woo! Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It's Friday.
Woo woo! Does it matter to you? Do you work on weekends?
Of course. But I still celebrate Friday. I do make a point of taking Friday evenings off. That's my, whatever. 5:00 Friday, I'm done for that evening. And the rest is up for grabs. It just kind of depends on what the work is. But
woo woo. Yeah. And actually, in the wintertime, it doesn't really matter. But in the summer now, I still have young kids, right? So I'm going to go start camping.
Ooh, good.
I know. And we just like we go for our 2 weeks. Like we'll usually go for a week, but I want to make a point this summer. I want to go a couple of weekends, just not far from here, and because I love cooking on the fire. I find that so challenging. It's like
that's what I was going to say. That would frustrate the daylights out of me because that is so challenging to do well. I
know, but I love it. And when it comes out good, which is like probably 50% of the time because it's so hard. I'll make a cake on the fire or, like paninis or like also I buy like gadgets and oh my God, I just absolutely love it. But I do go camping. I don't go unless it's like full power, Wi-Fi, water. I just have a tent trailer. We bought a brand new one. It has a bathroom, a stove. Like it's crazy. These tent trailers. It's
crazy
awesome.
What you can get. It's crazy what you get.
So I haven't used it yet. So I'm super excited.
Ooh, we'll be looking for the Facebook Live from the first one, right?
Walk through. What I did when I bought it is the guy, put it up and he teaches you and then we got it winterized. So I'm like taking pictures of everything. So when I go to put it up and I'll go, oh my God, how the hell do you put this? So I'll go back and look at the pictures.
Yeah.
But no. I am super looking forward to cooking. Have you ever cooked on a fire?
I have cooked on a fire. We camped a lot when we were kids and right up until our kids were kind of teenagerish. My boys still love camping and they still do the backyard fire pit, but no, I was the type of camper that always took the full barbecue, the Coleman stove, everything had to be, set up separate from the campfire because I hated cleaning the soot and crap off of all the pots and all the different things. It's one thing if you're throwing a vat of vegetables and stuff in tinfoil and putting it on the grill on the fire, that's one thing. But if you're actually trying to cook and do breakfast and, no, thank you. Not interested.
I know it gets pretty messy, but it's so much fun. Jenny says, good morning, Gabers and Straightbers. And she's saying Gabers go camping. Oh, I don't know, Jenny, if you camp or not, but that could be really, really, really funny to see what you do at a campsite. All right. So we're talking about food and cooking and summer and, all the parties. So our guest today is talking about sugar addiction and how to kick it. Do you eat a lot of sugar, Nancy?
No, actually my biggest addiction is caffeine, but sugar I gave up predominantly a long time ago. I won't say I gave it up 100% because I don't think you can in the world we live in. I have a rule. It's 80-20 rule. If it's not in 80% of my diet, I'm okay. So I say I gave up sugar.
Look at you coming up with systems even for sugar. All right. So let's bring our guest on board, Cathy Orman. Good morning, Cathy.
Good morning, ladies.
Cathy. Hey, there you are.
Woo,
Here I
am. Tell me, do you like cooking on the fire?
I don't. Honestly, I have to say straight out, that's not for me.
Woo!
Sorry, I just, camping, we tried camping, but, not everybody in our family liked it, and we found it was more stressful than it was worth. So we kind of backed out of that early. It was we gave it a good go, but it just didn't seem to work for the Orman family.
Well, there you
I'm
go.
with you, Cathy. My family went for the fire pit in the backyard. That's as far as we go. As long as I bet I'm
we
good.
can do that okay. Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay. Wow! This is one of my pet peeves, backyard fires. I have a neighbor who has a nice, beautiful fire pit right below my window, my bedroom window. It is so much fun in the summer. You cannot keep your window open because your whole bedroom becomes full of fire. It is like a huge pet peeve in my house.
Well, you do have to be considerate of your neighbors. I'll give you that much.
Truly.
It's not really a problem in my yard, but I could see that in some of the communities. Yeah.
I know, so I live, in a community where the yards are quite small and the house are really big on these small yards. And yeah, it's literally below my window. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Cathy, sugar, s'mores is the official campfire treat. Tell us about what that does to your body.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing. S'mores, well, you might want to only just have one of those instead of 2 or 3. That is kind of not much but sugar. There's no actual nutrition in those. So it's a treat. What can you say? You're camping, you're doing a campfire thing. It's a social thing. You have to kind of balance your life, right? You can't just live in a bubble. You have to balance your life and say, okay, this is something I do once a year.
Yeah.
So once a year, no big deal. But it's the social factor that you're getting at right there. It's not the sugar. It's the social factor. You're with your family, your friends, you're having a blast, you're bringing out the guitar, you're having a sing song, whatever it is your family loves to do or your friends, it's the social aspect. And that's very important. So the sugar takes a back seat, and it's only once a year, right?
So do you eat them?
Me?
Yeah, do you ever eat sugar?
Oh, yes. Oh, good heavens. Yeah, chocolate is a downfall for me. Yep. But I have learned to stick to the dark chocolate, the 70% or higher. And the more chocolate, the actual more cocoa or cacao you have in the chocolate bar, the less sugar there is. So, it's bitter chocolate for a reason, right? They cut out a lot of sugar. And that's my favorite chocolate is dark chocolate. And I do go by what I teach my clients, the 90-10 rule, I say. But for most people, they don't like the 90-10 rule because it's not enough. But 90% of the time, if you have wholesome, nutritious, nutrient-dense, good food, and 10% of the time is the birthday cake, the s'mores, all that other stuff, you're good. I mean, the 10% is just going to roll off of you like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
It's so what you do consistently.
Cathy, is there people that are actually allergic to sugar, like they are allergic to dairy or allergic to grains?
I don't know about allergies. I don't think so. I haven't heard of that.
Can be really intolerant, and I know it's really bad for our body. So maybe you want to expand on some of that. What does it do in your body?
What does it do in your body? It causes what we call the blood sugar roller coaster. So when you eat sugar or refined foods, and by the way, your body sees sugar and refined foods as exactly the same thing. To your body, they're no different. A white bun is the same as something loaded with sugar to your body. So when you eat either one of those kinds of things, it digests very, very quickly. Your body has to pump out a ton of insulin to combat the quick rise in blood sugar. So the insulin does its job really well. It takes the blood sugar out of the blood, which it's supposed to do, and takes it to the cells. But what happens when you've got that big flood of blood sugar and the big flood of insulin going in, you have too much insulin and it takes out too much blood sugar. Then all of a sudden you go from high energy and high blood sugar, you crash right down, and all of a sudden you have low energy, low blood sugar, you have brain fog, headaches, dizziness, jitters, you're irritable. You want more sugar because you have to have a kick to get started again. So it causes this roller coaster effect.
How
all
did you
day,
ever
every day.
get onto sugar? Like, why has that become an interest of yours? Did
Oh,
you
I
have
got,
issues or
oh
what was
yes.
going on there?
Yeah, I had issues, all right. I did.
Don't we
Yeah,
all?
yeah, yeah. I was perking along in my life, happily eating the standard North American diet, which I thought was healthy. I was taught it was healthy. What's the problem? Millions of people eat this way. Millions can't be wrong. Well, they were. And what happened was I got to the point where I absolutely had no energy. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was really sleep. And I had joint issues. I had all kinds of things going on, excess weight gain and all kinds of things. And I went to the doctor and she didn't find anything except systemic inflammation, which means I had inflammation throughout my body. And to her, it wasn't an issue because she didn't know what to do about it. So she said, "You're fine. No problem. You're fine. It'll go away someday. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm fine? I can't do anything in my life and my whole body has inflammation." So I was basically left up to my own devices to figure out what to do about this inflammation. And I happened, by the grace of God, seriously, to find a health coaching program that was 3 months long that talked about what you eat and sugar and the glycemic index and blood sugar spikes and all this. And I had no knowledge of this previous, absolutely none. And so I learned a ton about this. And within 3 months, it was actually documented by blood tests at the same doctor. Within 3 months, the systemic inflammation was gone.
That's crazy. Just by cutting out sugar.
Yeah, yeah. And within 3 months, I had a lot more energy. I wasn't totally healed, but pretty much on the road to almost total healing. Within a year, all my issues were gone. All the health issues that I experienced were gone just because I changed what I was eating and I added more exercise. That's the only two things I did.
Yeah. And so what did you do from there on? You've designed a program and you're now helping people. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I decided if I couldn't possibly be the only one in the world with this problem. So I decided to go to health coaching school, become a health coach. I designed the program. I wrote a book called The Sugar Switch. I called the program The Sugar Switch. And it's just gone from there. And now I have The Sugar Switch is my trademark. I have trademarked that. And I have The Sugar Switch podcast, which I publish a podcast every week.
And we have, sorry, Cathy, did you put the link for your podcast in the comments, I believe, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about, it's all about sugar, nutrition, and your health. And it's short, sweet, and to the point information.
Love it. So did you completely change your diet?
I did. I completely got off of refined foods and went on to whole foods. And don't get me wrong, I still live in this world. I don't live in a bubble. So of course, when I'm at the grocery store, I'm always reading labels. I'm always trying to find the best products. If I want pasta, for instance, I'm also gluten-free because gluten is another thing that bothers my system. So I'm always reading for which pasta is the best. Is it the quinoa rice one? Is it the chickpea one? Is it the, so I'm always reading labels and always trying to find the healthiest products. But I spend most of my time and most of my dollar in the produce department because they're live foods. They're the foods that are going to give you the energy you need and the nutrients and all the rest of it. But when you live in the real world, you got to find a balance between the refined foods and the fresh foods, right?
Now, Nancy, you would know a little bit about that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have actually been gluten-free for almost 30 years, I think.
And that's it's a big commitment and it's hard to do.
But when you have no choice, you have no choice.
But 30 years ago, Nancy, it was really, really difficult.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. I went gluten-free when I was pregnant with my daughter. She's 37 now. And yeah, it was tough then. Yeah. And then I got back to eating wheat, which was a mistake. But anyway.
There was no products like there are now. There's no.
A lot of awareness.
Yeah. So talking of living in the real world, when I have a drink, an alcoholic beverage, what should I drink?
Whatever you want, except what you need to think about.
do you know, like which is better? I mean, none of them are good, but are there some that are better than others?
I don't know, because I don't really do alcohol much myself, because it doesn't agree with my digestion. But I wouldn't say which one's better. I would say the way you drink, the way you're drinking it, and how your body's handling it is the way you should think about it. Because if you are just drinking with no food, no real food I'm talking about, then your body's going to have a harder time handling the alcohol. If you have a meal, like a nice nutritious meal with your wine or whatever it is, your beer, what have you, then it's easier on your body. I would say that's the way to go. People's preferences, who knows, what's the best there. But it's how your body takes, how your body handles it is what you should think about.
So if I was to do one thing, what should it be with my diet?
With your diet?
Yeah.
I would say drastically reduce or eliminate the refined foods and sugars, and increase the nutrient-dense foods. Now, in this world, it's impossible to live without sugar. So what I aim for with my clients, what I aim for myself, is to have the sugar I need through fruit and through whole foods, instead of through cakes and cookies and whatever. So that would be my one recommendation, is drastically reduce or eliminate all those refined foods and sugars, and go for the whole foods, the nutrient dense foods that are going to give you better value, even with some of the sugars, like fruits have sugars.
If I was to use a sweetener to replace sugar, what should it be? I
think stevia is probably your best bet.
And what's your opinion on aspartame and all those other ones?
Oh. Stay away from aspartame. Oh man, stay away from all those artificial sweeteners. The chemical ones that are made in a laboratory, brain toxins. I mean, seriously, they are dangerous. They have a lot of side effects. Don't even think about them. Fruit. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Michelle. Fruit instead of refined sugars and things. But even with stevia, I just want to tell you a little bit about stevia. You have to look at what you're taking. Even when you find stevia in the grocery store, it can be combined with other stuff. So you have to be a label reader. You have to be a label reader and know what you're taking into your body. And I have to say one other thing about sugar. It doesn't matter what kind of sugar it is, even if it's the healthiest sugar in the world, a small amount is the best, right? Any sugar, even fruit, if you have a huge amount, it's no longer healthy.
Do you have a cookbook in particular that you like to use?
I don't, but I do have recipes on my website, www.cathyormon.com. I do have a recipe section. I don't have a cookbook. That may be one of my next projects, is a cookbook. I do use a good cookbook that's produced by a couple of women in BC. It's called Meals in Minutes, and it's produced by two women who live in Kamloops, and one is a dietitian, the other is a personal trainer, and they got together and wrote this cookbook. So it's a very good cookbook. I use it all the time. I recommend it to my clients.
Nice. What about you, Nancy? Is there a cookbook in particular or that you like to use in your house, or
the internet?
Yeah.
Everything I need is online. No, my joy of cooking from 30 years ago is the back of it is so broken and so destroyed. I probably have 40 cookbooks, but I'm a real fan of Jillian Michaels and those, and she's got some great books. And I'm just looking at them here on my desk. Chris Carr has Crazy Sexy Diet, she's got some phenomenal. She's a pro food advocate and blogger. She's phenomenal. She's the lady who disclosed the amount of chemical issues with the orange dye and the Kraft, what's that called? Macaroni and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Also called as Cooney in my house.
Okay. and got that going. So Chris Carr, anything from Chris Carr is phenomenal. Anything from Dr. Gundry, also phenomenal. He's got some good books in his diet. He's a cardiologist who works on that kind of stuff. You know me and books, right? If it's
And
a
you know,
book, I own.
I'm not a huge book person, but I have, oh yeah, my cookbook collection is huge. I love my cookbooks and of every kind. Some are desserts, some are, because we are extremely lucky. We have no food issues in our house other than my son eating too much sugar, which is a battle every single day. But we're very lucky. Do you have an opinion on that, Cathy, as to what's going on? Why is there so many allergies and reaction to food? And
I would say that it's all the chemicals and things that have been put into the food. And refined foods, we're talking about additives and, like Chris Carr says, the dyes, all the things that you don't even know are there are causing problems. And when it comes to the fresh food, I'm afraid it's something we have trouble battling, as well as pesticides and herbicides and all that sort of thing. Organic is great, but you can't always be guaranteed that there's no herbicides or pesticides on it. All you can do is your best, right? You got to make your best choices with what's available.
We could have like the whole Women Talk tribe move together in this humongous farm and all live together, sing, and grow our food. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't see that.
That sounds like we'd be living in a bubble.
There's some people doing it.
Yeah, for sure. And
these are called Hutterites.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's not, I always think that way of living could be really good for some people. They could be extremely happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not for me.
There's not enough technology there for me.
Now, so Cathy, if people want to find out more about you and what you do and look up at your program, now do you only have one program or?
Well, I have on my CathyOrman.com website, the first program I did, the 3 steps of the sugar switch system, is on that website. But that I am working on a program called the Sugar Switch Habit, which will replace the sugar switch system. And we live in a world where people want things quickly, and so the Sugar Switch Habit is being designed around this concept of short, sweet, and to the point, but effective. So I am working on launching this Sugar Switch Habit. So I haven't made the switch over in my website yet, but people still can contact me through my website, either the sugarswitchpodcast.com or CathyOrman.com. And we can chat about what I'm doing and if it works for them, that sort of thing. I do have a complimentary consultation, half an hour call if people want. And they can find that on the Connect with Cathy part of my websites.
Wonderful. Oh, I have bad news, ladies.
What's that?
Michelle says that the otherites use chemicals.
Oh,
come on, people.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes my, what's that called? Farmer's market concern.
I know. And that is such a hard issue now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come clean here. I find that there are so many opinions, so many warnings, so many do's, so many don'ts. I'm just like up here and I don't care about any of it anymore. I know what is a good food and what is not. And I just do what my gut is telling me to do. And I know it's not perfect, but honestly, it's hard.
It is hard. I so agree. And so many people are confused. But ultimately, what you need to do and what you're doing, obviously, Brigitte, is listening to your body and you're listening to what your family needs. And you've connected with what works in your household and for you. And that's the best you can do. You know, like you really have to follow your own instincts. You have to follow what your body's telling you. If you listen, and I have a podcast about this too, if you listen, your body's talking to you all the time.
I so agree with that.
Yeah, you can understand when you eat something, just wait a little bit and your body will tell you. Was it good? Was it bad? Should you do this again? Sometimes it'll smack you in the face almost.
Yeah, I'll have to go listen to that podcast. And a little bit of a background, I used to own a gym. I owned a women curves. So I did a lot of nutrition studying because I was part of being licensed. So I do know about food
Yes.
and the sugars and all that, right? So
Good for
that's
you.
why I'm not signing up for programs right now, or because, but a lot of people need help. If you've never gotten any information, it's very difficult. And I think starting with your program and the sugar addiction would be a very good first step.
And with that too, I just want to mention it's not just about sugar. It's about actually switching the habit of sugar and refined foods into the habit of good foods and nutrient dense foods. And along with that, we deal with cravings, we deal with what nutrition does your body really need. Like, so we talk about the actual nutrition that your body needs every day. And we talk about mindset. Mindset is part of it. So we have a lot of elements in there. It's not just about sugar.
Now, Nancy, did you change the full diet of your family because of your allergies?
Well, I wouldn't say I changed it, but yeah, like our household is gluten-free. It is at least 90% sugar-free. There is a few things, but I don't rule out, like on long weekends, my husband always makes eggs Benedict for breakfast, but he makes them with croissants. So he buys those prepared. The kids still eat them. My husband still eats them. I just don't touch them, but we don't cook with flour in the house because if it's airborne, it causes issues for me. So
it's quite severe.
Yeah, we are quite controlling on that aspect of it. There's nothing we don't share. We always joke, I have almond butter, they have peanut butter, because that way the knives can't cross-contaminate. They're not allowed to put peanut butter knife into my almond butter. Like, we just don't cross-contaminate. Bakeware, everything is very, very closely controlled.
So I'm sure that at first it's hard, but then it becomes easy, right?
It does it. You know, it's like anything. If it's really important, and Cathy will talk about this, and the habit loop is so important. If you have the habit of always thinking that way, you get to a point where you don't think any other. Like for me, I go into a restaurant and the menu is, what do you have? And you've traveled with me, so Brigitte, it's like, what do you have that's gluten-free? Is it really gluten-free? Is it not? And I know, if a restaurant says to me, well, there may be cross-contamination, and I can tell, like something out of a deep fryer is totally always going to be cross-contaminated. So you just don't do it, right? There's just certain things.
Cathy, how do I get my 10-year-old son off of sugar?
Well, that's a challenge, all right. Maybe find some fruits that he likes to eat instead. Maybe actually don't take him straight off sugar. He's going to just rebel like all get out. So don't do that. So
I'll have to move out if I do that. We all have to move out.
So you want to, for kids, I think you want to do it in degrees. You can negotiate. Okay, so all right, so you can have this, but next time let's try that. Or, how about if you have 3/4 of it this, and then you have some fruit.
Yeah.
Or, you got to sort of, it's almost like negotiations, right?
Oh my God, everything is a negotiation.
Yeah. And I think eventually kids do, kids always do follow what their parents do. And kids also, they also want to do what their friends are doing too. So,
and the TV, the issue is the advertising.
Oh, yes. It's subliminal too, It's not just what you see. There's subliminal advertising on the TV anytime you're watching TV. And that is really horrendous. And the sad part is a lot of the advertising is also aimed at children.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for this information. So if you would like to look up Cathy's program, if you would like to turn the switch off when it comes to sugar, go check her out, CathyOrman.com. The link is in the comments below. Thank you very much for joining us today, Cathy.
Thank you, Brigitte. And thank you, Nancy. It's been great.
Thank you, Nancy. It was great as usual. Have a fabulous weekend, partner.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.